Right, so today we're going to firstly start with a kind of like I don't know how to call it. It's a command help you a library actually, a library help you make things easier. Right, so this is my webmaker application, and usually when we're trying to run the application, we'll have to start the server side and then opening another terminal starts the client side. And actually, there is a library can help us to allows us to give the two commands together. So I don't have to run the two commands separately. I can run them together. Right. So the library is called concurrently. Right. So we're gonna go ahead and install it. So just type npm install, and we're gonna call it concurrently. Right. And for the best practice, we're not going to install it like other libraries, because this library is only going to be used when we develop it, right? When we're trying to do something to code for the developers like us to code it. You won't need this one to really run the application. When the customer downloaded your file, they don't need this one to run the application. This one just help you to develop it. So we're going to install it as a div dependencies. Other than regular dependencies, it's going to be development dependencies. Right? So only for develop mode. When we move our code to the production mode, we won't need this library. So to do that, we're going to have a -d afterwards. That means install that as a div dependencies. So hit enter. It's called concurrently. Right, just give it 1 second. It's still installing. Yeah.
It's concurrent.
Yeah, I can just write it on the board. Concurrently.
And then D.
-d. So npm I dash capitalize D. Capitalize D. Right, so I'm getting an error here. Let me try to reinstall it. So in any case, if you're getting error, may just because like the internet was like broken for a second. So just try it again. Just give it another chance. Okay, so this time it went through. It says ended the packages, blah blah blah. All right. So now we can using the concurrently, right? So how to use it is we're gonna put that in the package.json, right? You also, when you get into the package.json, you should be able to see the concurrently was put inside here. So concurrently it's under the div dependencies instead of dependencies, right? It's under the div dependencies, right? We're gonna add in a new script here to use it. So put a comma after the client and just add it as the last one, right? So we're gonna see. We're gonna call it div, right? Command's gonna be div. So whenever you want to call this command, it's gonna be npm run div, right? So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna say concurrently. I put a single quotes inside it to separate with a double quote, and put 2 single quotes here. So basically, run 2 things. The first thing I want to run is npm run server, right? Remember, this starts our server side, and we also have npm run client start our client side. And actually, not npm run client. Yeah, I have it here, client. So it's gonna say npm run client. So I have npm run server and npm run client. They're gonna be executed together. Right? If you want to have more commands, you can just adding right after this one. Right, let me make the font size bigger. I forgot to change it. So like it's kind of annoying. I have to change it every day. So, right. So concurrently, npm run server, and the space put another pair of quotes and say npm run client. So we'll start the server and the client together. Right, so if you want to run it, you can just internally say npm run div, right? Npm run div is going to using concurrently to start both server and client. Oops, I'm getting an error here. Let me see. npm is not recognized as a internal or external terminal. What? Are you kidding me? Let's see. npm run div. I'm getting some error. Let me see. Maybe I need to use a. Let me try this way using the double quotes, and I'm gonna put escaping string before it, so it knows what it is for. And let me try it again. So npm run div. See if that can work.
It worked for me the way that you did it before.
Oh yeah. Sometimes if it's not working, you can just instead of using the single quotes, you can using the escaping string, like just the backslash and double quotes. It's the same thing. Yeah, maybe because of the version of the node you're using, it may causing some issue. But yeah, if a single quotes work, you can use the single quotes. If not working, you can always change it to the double quotes. But because when you're using to have this double quotes, to separate with the double quotes we have outside, so we need escaping string here. Right? If you still remember the escaping string as when we're loading the JavaScript at start, so it's just using to separate with outer string quotes here. Right, so you see, it's a server started on port 3100, and I think it's still running. It's also going to start the client side as well.
What if it says dev is missing?
Dev is missing.
Yes.
Did you save the file?
Yes.
Give me 1 second. I just want to see why this one is not starting my client side. Oh, actually it does. React script starts, so it's starting it. It's gonna take some time, I think. Seems like there was some conflict here. Let's try just add it again. Same signal. So counter insert. So exit this pair. So the first one we're going to do npm run server. Run server first. Oops, that's fine. Yep, that's it. So try it again. Okay, so it's going to proceed, start the server, and even start the client. Yep, so you don't have to do two terminals. You can just use only one. Missing is complete. Let's go to the package.json here. Complete. This is missing is complete. Okay, I'm getting the same error I had. So this happening is instead of using single quotes, you're using double quotes. And see, if you use double quotes, actually it's going to give you an error, not figure out how those quotes are closed by
Automatically started the
escaping string.
Yeah, he did
The escaping string.
he did npm
Okay, so
what
those
was it?
one, you don't want to
npm run something.
And
No, once we
try it
configure
again.
that one,
Which one did you just do?
Yeah.
the npm run div.
On div?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is good. So
you said div or dev?
server script here. So we have the client, we also use the server one, which is npm run. Sorry, not npm. It's node man. If you install node man, node, not yeah, don't have a node man. So you're supposed to install the node man. So using node man server JS. Okay, started the client for you, but the server is not responding because we don't have the command installed command. Command for the server. Right, so let's stop this one for now. Right, so first thing we're gonna install the nodeman. It's gonna be npm I nodeman -d to install nodeman. And once it's done, you can do the npm run d install it. And you know what? What is nodeman? Okay. So you know what is Node? Node it just allows you to run JavaScript code in your computer without problem. And Nodeman it does one more thing more than that. Is it will auto refresh your page. Sorry, it's gonna auto refresh your auto restart your server if you make some changes. So if you just use Node, like when you make some changes on your server side, like you change the description code here, you have to restart your server by yourself. You have to close it and Control C, exit it, and rerun it. And what Node.js does is, whenever you do some changes, it's going to restart for you. You don't have to restart by yourself. Okay, so this is the only thing it does. Right, so, and we just create a command. So instead of using Node start server, we're using Node.js. And the div right now just concurrently run both of them. It's going to run using the run server, give this command, and then it's going to start the client side effect with this command. This is start this command. So we can do it with run div. You don't see any error inside it. So this is server is running, and it's going to start the client side. And it should just use one command instead of two to make things easier. Yes. Yeah, it looks. Oh, no, you don't need this one here.
Yeah,
You don't need
here,
this one
right?
here. No, I mean this code here. You see that? This one. This one.
Oh, that one? Oh, it's just okay.
This is
Yeah.
this one goes here, and this is
Yeah.
one. Okay, this goes here. Save it and try it again.
It says it gives me an error.
Let's give you an arrow.
Mm-hmm.
What arrow says? Let me see what did you what command you give me.
The npm functionality.
No.
Okay.
This is a one to. I mean, you need to start it by npm run the command name,
I
which is
think
a
I
d.
did it on the like before, and then I deleted this
Oh,
one.
gives you an arrow missing script. Here. Let me just close it. Oh, you added in the wrong one.
Okay.
You added in the client. You added in the one in the client folder. It should be the one outside. Right. So we're gonna remove it, and we're gonna move that to the here to the server side. It should be the one outside here. Right. And we also missing on actually we miss the one for the client. If we want to start the client, we're gonna add a client one. So it should be cd into the client and npm start. This is to start the client side one. So usually we type in the terminal, we're gonna just put it here. So just do the npm run client, and it will do this for us. And it's adding the one for div. Right. So div would basically just run the server one and then run the client one at the same time. So we can do the npm run div. And then we'll do the server one and then do the client one. Seems like I'm getting an error here. Node server.js. Yeah, we have the error here because cannot find module client server.js. Oh, did we? is not the subclient folder. I'm getting errors. It's Node server.js. Let me see. Let me paste JSON here. Yeah, you are totally missing like a no. Those are mixing together. Those two. The client package JSON is totally mixed up. Like it's say there's two packages are not almost the same. That's not correct at all. So GitHub. I'm going to go to my GitHub to copy the scripts we need there. So we make a new JSON. Script should be this. Be careful, okay, don't add to the wrong file. Only the outside package should be added. We never added the scripts for the package for the client file. It's just using to start the React project. Right, so this is starting the server. I think the client it is also started. Just take some time. Let me see if mine is running. Alright, so yeah, so my server and client are both running here, and my website page is also opened. Right, so you don't have to have two terminals running separately. Also, if you want, you can still have two, like do the npm run server and npm run client in different terminal. Right, but now you have another option, just do the npm run div to run them concurrently, run them together. Right. This is what this library can help you. And right, so let's start this class. Or this is just the add-on stuff to help you to simplify your work. Right, so today we're gonna start to create the database part for the user, right, for the users. So yeah, let's go ahead to ending the code for it. Right. So if you're following the assignment description, they're gonna ask you to create another folder inside your project, right? In the root path. So we're going to create a new folder. It's called models. I create a models folder. Right. Don't make it inside like a config folder or inside other folders. Make sure that it's outside, right? They are on the same level. Right? Make sure the things are on the same. The models is on the same level of the routes of the config, right? That's what we need to do. And in the models folder, we're gonna create our first file here called user.js. Capitalize the U. Right, capitalize the U. User.js. And inside here, we're gonna create a schema for the user, which means we're gonna give some limitation for the user, like what a user looks like. And before we save our data into the database, we are going to check that the data we received from the client match the rules we set it up here. This is called a schema, right? The user structure of a user object, right? The structure of this type of data. So we're gonna firstly say constant mongoose is equal to require mongoose. Import mongoose here, right? And this code is from the documentation of the Mongoose library website. So if you're looking for if you Google the Mongoose, Mongoose is a library that will help us to access the Mongo database. Right. So if you're checking the documentation here, and we're basically just using the code they provide here to define your schema. Right. Define your schema. We're basically just using the code here. Basically just using the code here. Right. So let's do it. So let's say constant. We're going to call it a user schema equals to mongoose dot schema, and put the parenthesis and the object inside it. Right, so this is all from its library. the way they define their JavaScript files, the functions, we just use it. All right, so inside the schema, we're gonna see a user will have a username, right? And we can set up some rules here. So the type of username, the type means the is that string? Is that a number? Is that a array? So we're gonna say in this case it's gonna be a string. So we're gonna give a type equal to string. And we can see required is true. That means when you want to input a user into a database, what requires you to have a username, right? You cannot put a user without a username. This is required. And then we can see the user needs to have a password. Again, the type of that will also be a string, right? A string, and that is required, right? User definitely gonna have a password. And then we have the first name. Type is string, right? User will have a first name. But this is all according to the user object we have here. Remember, if you go to the users.js in the browse, this is a user will have username, have password, have first name, last name, and email, right? This is according to that. So we have first name, a string. I'm not going to put it as required because when we register a new user, that user won't have a first name at the beginning, and then we're going to add it in the future. So I'm not going to put the first name as required, just a username and password. Maybe the user doesn't want to provide their first name and last name in my website. Well, in this case, when maker doesn't really need them to have a first name and last name. But if you're making another website, like maybe making a backing system, and I think the first name and last name are definitely required. So last name here, type is string. That's going to be enough. We're not going to make it as required. And email, well, in this case, I also won't make it as required, but if necessary, you can make it as required. So that's going to be a schema for the user, rules for a user to follow. Each user definitely going to have a username and going to have a password, and it can have a first name, it can have a last name, and it can also have an email. Right, so those three are going to be optional, but the username and password are going to be required. And the last thing to do is just export this schema. So we're going to say module.exports. We're going to export the mongoose.model. And model, here first you can take the name. What's the name of the model you want to give? I'm going to call it, capitalize user. And the schema's name, user schema. This is all mentioned in the Mongoose library here, right? So it's mentioned how to do it. Right, so how to create a schema, how to create a model. Model is just going to be mongoose.model, right? And the name of the schema, and the schema's name, right? So, and then you're ready to go, right? So it's all refers to the documents they write. So if you want to use a library, I'll suggest you to read their documentation before you start. And yeah, so this is the schema for the user, and where this is ready to use.
What is model?
What is model? Right. So let's say did I mention it here? See, I think it's clickable. I can click on that. Right. A model are fancy constructors compiled from schema definition. An instance of model is called document. Models are responsible for creating and reading documents from the underlying MongoDB database. So it's kind of like an abstract of a data you want to create into a database, or a data you want to read from a database. You're going to make sure whenever you expect a user from a database, or you want to add a user into the database, the model is the user want to use checking if it is a user or not. Right? So using that to give the idea what the user is. Right, so it refers to their documentation, and they can define you what is a schema, what is a model, and what all the things about. Right. So this also they mentioned all the types like we can use a string type, number type, like a date, a boolean, I can have something else like a mixed object. Some of them I haven't used it yet. Like I haven't used the map before, but it may be helpful. Model is built upon on the schema. I think schema by itself is just not going to be able to connect to a database. You need to using schema to transfer that into to connect it with the database. So everything in Mongoose starts with a schema. A schema maps to a database collection. It defines the shape of a document within that collection. So the schema itself defines the shape, and then we will use the schema to construct a model. And then the model can be, to use the schema definition, we need to convert our schema into a model, see? And then we can work with. Right, so those are basically the names they give it. In different libraries or in different databases, they're going to call them different ways. But a schema is kind of like a common way we define the structures of data. And the model is a name we use to, it's converted from a schema, and we'll be able to connect that into the database. All right, so just refers to the documentation they mentioned here. All right, so that is a model we create. So we can use that to connect our database to set up the rules for it. Right, so in the user.js here, right, in the routes.js, user.js. So in this one, if you remember all the functions we have inside here, all those functions, they are looking, like for example, the first one, find the user by credential, or the second one, the create new users. They are using the user array in our server. So that means all these functions should be rewritten. We're going to rewrite them instead of looking or adding items inside the array we have here. We are going to ask it, please adding the data into our database. Instead of adding the data here, we're going to add the data to the database. And it's very easy to convert them. It's going to be much easier than you don't have to even write a for loop. So we're going to firstly import the model we just created. So we're going to constant user, capitalize U, require the model we just created. Right, that's going to be in the folder. So // jump to out folder, looking for the models folder, and / the user file. Right, that's where the model we just created. Right, that's the model we just created. Right, and we're gonna start with a create. We're gonna start with the second function, the create new user. Right, so this one function, we're gonna rewrite the bit of it. We're still getting a new user from request body. But we're going to delete the second line here. We're not gonna just push that to the array we have here. We're not gonna have an array anymore. We're gonna remove that later. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say again, we're going to say constant user is equals to await new user dot save. Right, new user dot save is going to save this user into database. This is like an insert we did with in MongoDB, and the save function is what Mongoose provide us. So we check the Mongoose here, looking for the how to save data. I think they have it here. Mongoose, say looking for the save function. I don't know if I can find it, but I did find it before, so this is why I know how to save it. So you have to, maybe I can anywhere I can search. Let's see, save model.prototype.save document prototype. I'm not sure which one that is. I'm gonna have to take a look on them. And yeah, so let's have the data to save, and I'm not sure which one is that. Again, you just need to look at both of them to make sure which one you need to insert data. What I used to just Google it, Mongoose save data into to collection or to database. So I can tell you can use the Mongoose save method to insert the documents. So Mongoose save insert document to MongoDB, and they're going to provide examples for you. And this is what I refers to save the data. Right. So, and using the await inside the function, we're going to make the function itself as a async function. Right. So, because you need to using async to allows you to using await here. Right. And the JSON here, we're going to JSON this user, not the new user itself. As a new user is the one coming from the client. And once we save that thing into a database, right, it's going to add a unique ID to it. And we're going to return the user with ID to the client, right, not the one without ID. So this is how you're getting the user, the newly saved user, and then return it back to the client. The constant user is equal to await this new user the save. New user save, it's going to save that in the database and returns you what the user information is, and then we return it back to the client. Right. Let's try it. Let's try it out. So if let me say, open a new terminal here. If I do Mongo here, I do Mongo. You can check inside here. Say, I can make it bigger. So I can say show DBs. I don't even have the maker database here because I deleted it yesterday, so it's empty. So once I add in my information, the new user's information should be into the database. Let's try it out. So let's go to my website, which is here. All right. So I'm going to let me open the console. Always open your console, so make sure there's no error. Let's try to do register new user. Right. If that works, register should work. So that's a function binding with the create user function we just changed. So I'm going to register Alice into the database. Alice, password is Alice, verify password is Alice. I'm going to go ahead and click on register. It says username is taken. Oh, okay. It says username is taken because the register function is using the first function, find the user by username, to check in if the username is taken. So that means we also need to change this function. Right, so before we use the next one, we're just also going to change this one here. Right, let's say how we change this one. So we're getting the username and password from the requested query. Right, that's fine. And if user and password are sent from client, so if there is user and password, we're going to get rid of this for loop. We don't need the for loop here. Right, so it's going to become easier. Let's remove that for loop. So. Right, so if we found username and password, then we're gonna do user equal to await, and let's say user, right? This user, remember, is a model we just imported, and we'll call functions. So you have many functions you can call to help you to use. So we're gonna use this one called the find1. User.find1. The find1 is just going to be like the find function, but only find the first one that match. So we're going to find the one that's the username equal to the username we give it. This is like the Mongo command we gave yesterday. Right? So find the username equal to the username we give, and the password equal to the password we give. Right, again, we're using await here, so we need to put the whole function as a async function. And the user going to be equals to the user we find in the database, where the username equal to the username we define here, and password equal to the password we define here. Right, so it's more like saying that here, find the one that username equal to Alice, password equal to Alice. Right, so its username is going to be the one we entered in the user that entered it. Right. Same thing. The second else if here is checking if the username is taken. So we're going to rewrite this one as well. Get rid of the for loop. We're going to say user equal to await user dot just find. Right, to find if the username is taken. If the username is the username we find we give. Right, so instead of a for loop, we can just using find1 and find that is defined by the Mongoose. which is just do the for loop for us. Okay, this one should also be the final one. Sorry, because we're just looking for one. If I'm looking for array of users, we're going to using 5. And it's going to return us an array. And final one is going to be returns us the first one that they found. If there's no, it's just going to give us a null. Right, if they cannot find one, just going to give us a null. Right, let's try it out again in our application to register. Right, so we're going to do addis, register. Nothing has happened. Let me see if the database changed. So we're going to try to do show DBs. Nothing is happening. Did I break anything? Did I save the file? I did. Well, I'm getting error here. Let me see what is that. New user.save is not a function. Okay. Let me see. Oh wait, new user.save is not a function. That allows me to do that. Oh, yeah, I think I did a mistake. So new user is from request body, and we need actually to tell it like is that a user, is that a website, or is this something else? All right, so we should say we're gonna create constant. Well, I'm gonna give it a name. I'm gonna call it user. I'm not sure what to call it. Let me see. User to save. Right, I'm gonna call it user to save. So I'm gonna keep that's a new user object. Right, remember that is a model we created, and we'll see this new user will have the username is equals to request. Remember the new user is a one from request. So it's equal to new user the username, and the password is equal to new user the password, and the first name is equal to new user the first name, and last name is equal to new user the last name, and also have the email to new user the email. So it's kind of like a have to tell like we'll create a new user, a user that is made up with a user we received from client. Well, this is a longer version, or you can create that in a shorter version. So you can just using the split operator from ES6. You can say constant user to save is equals to a new user that with all the field inside the request body. You can do that. It's alright. So it's just equivalent to the ones we just give the whole thing here. Alright, so shorter version to do it. It depends on you which one you like. Right, so these two are the same. Just a shorter version to write it. But then, a little bit hard to understand. Like it's just dot request body. Just going to give you each field we have in the request body, and we see the new user is equal to object and created by all the field we have in the request body. Right, so I'm telling you this one here because like you made this situation like your co-workers, your partners who is using the syntax, and you understand what they are doing. Basically, just doing this one here, trying to create a new user based on the field we're getting back from the request body. All right. So now here wait here. We're not gonna say the new user save. We're gonna say user to save the save. Right. This is really the user we want to save in the database. Right, we're using the model we create an instance of that model, and with the data we provide to it, and we'll save that into the database. Right, so if you directly save the new user, no, the database have no idea that a user is that a website, or is that and doesn't know like what is that. So we don't know which schema to save, which collection we should save it. So we're gonna tell it that it is a user and a new user, and with those fields. I just need to remember the syntax. This is also them. I believe they definitely mentioned it in their libraries. You have to just check it out. Right. So it's also from there. Right. So let's try it out again. So save it. There's no any error yet. And let me try to run it inside the webmaker. I'm going to register. Does it work? Or give me any error? Let me see. Give me another error. Let's see it. It says new user is not a function. In line 74. Oh, sorry. It should be new space new user. Right. So here's same thing here. New user. Create an instance of the model we just created. Let's try it again. Clear it up. Still no reaction. Does I have still have error? Let me see. So it says okay, so it's giving me an error. It says something. If you ever see this error, I'm gonna tell you how to fix it. It says like a validation error, user validation failed. The ID cast to object ID failed for value, something about like ID. Right. So this is happening is because if you check in your client side, the register function, the register.js, right, the register component, the new user was created. This is new user who created it. Right, so it has an ID, has a username, has a password, first name, last name, email, and the ID here. We do not want to create ID in the client side anymore. We don't need it. The reason for that is when we save our user into a database will create a random ID for us. So we don't want to create one by ourselves anymore. If you do that, you may get an error. You may get an error. So the reason for that is, if you do the UUID way 4, the ID will be just a string type. But the ID that the MongoDB use is another type. It's called object ID. It's not a string. So it's gonna try to transfer this string into object ID, and which cannot work for the MongoDB. So we do not want to create ID by ourselves. We're gonna have the MongoDB create for us. So we're gonna delete the UUID from the new user we created in the user's component, right? But also, you won't need the UUID anymore. You can just get rid of the import. UUID was just for temporarily use it to generate the ID. But now the database will do it for us, so we don't have to generate it by ourselves. Right, so let's try it out. So let's try it again. See if that. Finally, I hope this is gonna work. So I'm going to try to enter Alice here, and put register. Here we go. It's bringing us to the database to the profile page, and profile page has error, which is expected because the user now is in the database. It cannot get a user from the array anymore. Right. So the thing we're gonna care about here is a user saved in the database or not? Right. So we're gonna check in our Mongo. So let's say show DBs. You see the webmaker is here. Right. It's maybe too tiny for you to see, but yeah, it's webmaker database here, and you say use webmaker, and you check it what we have inside it. And show collections. I have users collections inside it. I say db.users find pretty. I just want to make sure the Alice is stored inside here. You see, have username Alice, password Alice, first name, last name, and email. Right, that is Alice added to the database, and we created ID for it. So Alice is added to the database. Now, every time when you register a new user, that user is going to be added into the database. So I'm going to read the error, what the error says, and just read the first line of the error. Checking if you have any typo, anything else. So that's how you're going to debug it. Right, so if you still have bug, I'm going to help you afterwards. So let's go ahead and rewrite all the functions here. We should have 4 functions. We just rewrite 2. We rewrote the in the let's say routes user here. We rewrite the find the user by credential. we rewrite the create a new user, and then 2 more. Actually 3 more. Find the user by ID, which is used in the profile, and update the user. 2 more, yeah. Update user, which is also used in the profile. So find the user by ID, we're just going to so we're still getting the ID from request parameter. Right. So then we're getting rid of the response here. I'm not gonna need to do the for loop. And we're just gonna using again a function from the Mongoose. So we're gonna do constant user is equal to await. Again, using await, we need to make a function async. Let's put it here in case I forget it. So I'm gonna wait for the user model the find. Let's say the function called find by ID. This is one we're using. Find by its ID and pass in the ID as input, and it's going to find the user with such ID for us, and we can return this user to the client. Right. Every time we communicate with the database, you will need a wait, because again we are jumping out of the JavaScript code, go to database, so it will take a longer time, and we need the database waiting. We need the JavaScript waiting for us to finish that before we get into the next step.
That define user by credentials.
Right, so let's find by user by ID. We're going to use a function. Whenever you want to find by the ID of something, you just use call function find by ID. That is Mongoose functions help you to do that. Right, so let's check out our file here. I'm going to try it again to log in as Alice we just created. So Alice, login, and now Alice information is showing, and the ID is pointing to the one inside the database. Right, and the only function which is not working right now is update. The update should update the user inside database, not update the user inside our array in the server. So let's go back to the file. Update the user. All right, so that's also very easy to fix. So we're gonna get rid of the for loop here. We are going to remove the new user. We're going to remove the for loop, and we're still getting a new user from the request body and sending that into the database. Again, this new user shouldn't have the ID, right? So we're going to go to the profile component. So I think it may have the ID in the new user. Let's see here, it says ID. You're going to remove the ID, right? Remove the ID. We don't need the ID for it. The ID will coming from the the database itself. Right? We no longer have to take care of the ID part. Update the user. So let's say we're going to do a Actually, I can just do await. Yeah, await. Let's see, I think that's in here. And we'll do a let me see. User, user model the find. Oh, sorry, I still need the ID here. Yeah, I think I still do. I need the ID. Let me see. I think I need ID, but I'm not quite sure. Let me see. Yeah, I think I still need the ID here, because I will need to use this ID to let me know which user I want to update. Otherwise, I have no idea which user to update. So I still need the ID in update here. Yeah, let me try it. So the function I should use here is called find by ID and remove. It's not remove, and update. Sorry, find by ID and update. And I think this one takes two stuff. The first one is which one to find, and the second one is what you want to update it into. So I'm gonna find the one with the ID, so that means new user. So let's see, find the one with ID equals to new user dot ID, and updated that into actually find by ID. So I can just give the ID here. I think, yeah, I haven't done this for a while, so sorry. I updated that into new user. I don't need this curly brace here. Alright, finding by the new user's ID and update that into new user. Find and update. Let me try it out. So hopefully I don't give you the wrong answer here. If do, we're gonna fix it. So right now I just don't have email. I'm gonna put alice@gmail.com. First name Alice, last name Wonder. It should be uppercase. Let's try to do an update here. Go. User info is updated, and I'm not sure if that's already updated. Let's try to refresh page. Oh, seems like it's updated, and I can also check that in the database. So if I checking the Mongoose, Mongo here, checking DB users the find, I see the Alice information is updated. This is one before, and this is one afterwards. So finding by its ID, and then update it. Yeah, I do still need the ID. I need to know which one I want to update, and then just update it. When you create a new user, you don't have to create a random ID for it, but when you update it, you still need to know the ID. So the Mongoose does provide us a lot of useful functions, and I think you can find it just say user dot. It's going to give you. We have find, which is going to find to give you array. We have find one. It's going to give you the first one. We have create. We have remove. We have find by ID. We have a lot of functions we can use here. Right, so if you're not sure what does this one do, it gives you a description inside here, and also you can refer to their documentation. They're going to give you the examples online, tell you what does each function does. Right, so it's going to tell you find ID and update, issues a MongoDB find and modify update command by a document's ID field, and basically just tell you if you want to see documentation, click on the link here. They're going to bring you to the documentation, tell you what is these functions are. Right, I don't know where they navigate me to, but it should be in this page. Find by ID, and yeah, here find by ID and update. It's right here. You're just checking what does it mean. Right, so all depends on the documentation. Those are the names the Mongoose library created, and if you want to use it, you can have it refer to their function's name. This is how library works. Right. So that's literally everything we need to do for the user's part. Right. Instead of we do the loops by ourselves, and we just go to the user function in the database. So you can go ahead and delete the array we have here for the users. I will no longer need this array. Right, no longer need this array. Actually, you can use that to before you delete that, you're gonna manually enter those user information into the database. For example, I'm gonna go ahead and register the account for the Bob. Right, register Bob, and well, I'm getting an undefined here. I'm getting some error by registering new user. Let me see. I'm getting error here. Still the ID problem. I think I removed the ID for the register. Let me see. Yeah, I removed the ID. What are you talking about? Let me see. Try it again. So try to register. Is Bob in database already? Let me double check a bit. So I'm checking find. Oh, they actually added Bob for me. Somehow that doesn't show up. Did I forget to change anything? Let me see. So once I register, I should receive a user object back from the database, and then push it to the new user ID. Let me console log what I received here. A new user. Let me see. So if I register Charlie, register. I'm getting the, this user doesn't have an ID here. It's supposed to have an ID. So let me see, did I make any mistake inside here? It's say in the user.js, the create new user. Yeah, the response here. That should work. Hold on, let me see. It should work. So it returns me a user, but this user doesn't have an ID. It's supposed to have an ID here. Let me see. I'm gonna check in the Mongoose library. So yeah, I'll double check it after the lecture. I think that's almost everything. So let's just go ahead and register users now. So I'm gonna register. Charlie is registered. So let's go ahead and also register the SHU. Okay. So you're gonna see it undefined here, which is error. We're gonna fix it soon. And if you just log in, you will be still able to log in with the account we just created. So we just created Bob. Okay, log in as Bob. And we're gonna set up Bob's email, so bob@gmail.com, and his first name is Bob, and last name is, let's see, bob@whatever.com. Oh, this is his email, bob@whatever.com, and his last name is here, Marley. Just gonna put it here in, and update. I should be showing in the database right now. Let's log out and log in as Charlie. And I'm gonna set up his user information, like his password, first name. That's first name, and last name. Right, just gonna quickly add it, and also his email. Just quickly add it. Right, so update. Right, Charlie's information is in record. And log out. Log in. Let's show you. To again, we're just adding information to test. Right, so just adding his email and his first name and last name. Right, just adding information here to test. Okay. Right, so those information are all in the database. So if you go back again, go to your database, db user.file pretty, you should see the informations for the SHU, for Charlie, for Bob, and it's actually be all inside here. Right, make sure those information are inside there. Right, so that means everything is working. Right, so let me send the code to the GitHub and after the video, and I'm gonna go ahead to fix that errors in the for the register and let you know how I fix it. Right, so I'm gonna have to take a look. Don't want to waste your time here. So let's say stop it. So we're gonna do git add dot git commit -m MongoDB user part git push.
What does that warning mean? Like, if we get it, should we just ignore it?
This warning?
Yeah.
Yeah, ignore that. So what does that mean is, it is because like the Windows and other machines are using different ways to save your file, and if you want to send your Windows file into GitHub, the GitHub is going to tell you warning, I'm going to transfer your file into another format. Just let you know, and then you say, okay, just go ahead, transfer it, and it's just what it does. And when you download it back from GitHub, GitHub is going to transfer it back for you, so don't have to worry about that. Yeah, just because the ending of the file will be different. Let's say that, say LF will be replaced by say RLF, it's just a different format the files are using. So say that the file will have its original line ending in your working directory, something like that. Just ignore that, right? That's something GitHub is taking care of for you. Right, so let me stop the recording the video.